this morning, we have two local leaders that are going to come up and talk to us, and they've had situations that they'll tell you a little bit about in their speaking comments, and they're going to bring to you the real life experiences that they have and what they've done to try to not only move out the campaign, but to make sure that ONA members in their bargaining units and locals know that ONA is there for them, that we're trying to do something on our members' behalf and on the behalf of the patients that they're caring for. So we're going to start with Local 31 Coordinator Jackie Dales. Where's Jackie? There she is. Jackie, do you want to come on up? Woohoo! Jackie has been instrumental in the fight back after the Quinte Healthcare cuts in Belleville, and they announced 62 RM positions in March of 2015, so last year, and then another 45 late last November. And so, you know, even though the numbers are, you know, it's all relative to the size of organizations, but these are huge impacts. So I'm going to have Jackie come and share with you a little bit about what happened and what they're doing. So Jackie, welcome. Thanks.
Thanks, Vicki. So as Vicki said, at Quinte Healthcare, we've had, over the last year, almost 100 nurses cut, and it's been devastating to our community, certainly. Quinte Healthcare is one hospital on 4 sites. And so, I mean, I've got the transitions that are happening are affecting not just the morale of the nurses, but the work of the nurses. A lot of work has been being shifted from one hospital to another, and so we've got increases in beds in Trenton, and this is what the corporate people are saying. Well, we're increasing your beds in Trenton, except that they're de-skilling them to complex continuing care beds and hiring RPNs. They're decreasing the RN staffing in a rural hospital emergency room and putting an RPN with her, and then that nurse is the only person who can triage. They're also the only person who can go on an ambulance run, and that leaves an unsafe situation in their ER. So understandably, the morale at our hospitals is as low as it has ever been, including since the Harris days, which I trained in and was experiencing that with them, and morale was really bad then. It's just as bad now. So some of the things that we have done, in November, there was a rally that ONA participated in with a grassroots group called RTMH, which is concerned community members. The Ontario Health Coalition was there, other healthcare unions were there, and that was a great way to get the media involved, and it was a very windy day. I want to just thank my region. Ann Clark came, and people had driven hours to support our local from around the region, and we're so appreciative of that. The Nurses Know campaign, you know, that picture of the nurse that sort of, you know, had a really bad day. The ONA staff has really been helpful in drafting a flyer with that picture on the front and some information about what is happening at Quinte Healthcare. It includes our MPP's contact information, my contact information, and the website that they can go to sign the online petition. And those are being really widely distributed. We have. I took them to the grocery stores, and the managers and owners of the grocery stores couldn't be happier to hand them out. And I had one actually say, well, I'm going to give them right to my cashiers, who will put them in the bags of every person that they see. That's an amazing kind of community support that you can leverage. I'm drafting a letter that is going out to every one of my members that is specifically inviting them to participate in, to volunteer time, to staff information pickets at the hospitals. I'm trying to get a booth at the local shopping mall. I'm not sure that they'll let a union do that, but anyway, if they're going to allow us to do that, I'm collaborating with, again, our local chapter of the Ontario Health Coalition to man that booth to get more people signing the petition. We'll have the petitions there. And I'm shameless. I'll talk to anybody. I'm also the mean mom. So we live in a rural area. When we had snow days, I drive my kids to school, and then I won't drive home because that would be unsafe. So I go to the local Starbucks and I'll sit there. And lots of seniors go to Starbucks in the middle of the day. 2 pages of signatures in about a half hour. It was great. I've also met, we have, as I said, 1 hospital in 4 ridings, or in 4 areas. They cross 3 different ridings. So I've met with our MPP, the Conservative MPP that we have in my riding, and I have a meeting with our other MPP next week when I go back. I also am talking to our federal members of parliament, and I had a meeting last week with Neil Ellis, who is in a new riding. We were one of the new ones that was created when they did the restructuring, and he was so incredibly supportive. It turns out his wife is one of my members, but aside from that, he invited me to come back and touch base with him regularly about healthcare issues in our region, and I thought that was a really great show of support for what's happening in healthcare, and recognizing, like, we have a military base and a large Aboriginal community. So federal, don't forget your federal members of parliament. They're important to talk to as well. I watch for media events that our MPPs put together, and make sure that I go as much as possible so that the owner perspective is heard in that venue. And, I'm hearing, a lot of positive feedback about the things that I've done, but I just want to recognize that these aren't my ideas. I gleaned them for leaders that are in this room, that have shared their experiences and their strategies with me. And with the ONA staff has been incredible, supporting any effort that I've wanted to do. So some of the challenges that we face, of course, are member apathy, and I'm trying to get to that. Getting members out when they're already working overtime because there's no staff is really challenging. So I'm following up my letter with a phone call blitz, trying to reach individuals so that there's that personal connection, and at the same time, sometimes those are really tricky conversations to have in communities and in hospitals, because we don't want to alienate our RPNs who are, they're at the same time as advocating for our own staffing. We have to frame the conversation so that we're not insulting people or alienating them, and sometimes that's really, really difficult. We know that high standard of care is important, and we want to keep that, but again, we don't want to alienate those people. So that can be challenging sometimes, and try to frame the conversation in a more general way. Safe staffing levels are important rather than RN care is better. Putting yourself as better than when you're talking to a colleague that you have to work with doesn't go over so well sometimes. So if I had any advice, it would be that there is a huge wealth of knowledge that ONA has, and the staff and your colleagues at ONA have. Ask them questions. How do your colleagues reach their members? When I hear that hospitals are having IACs because their members have filled out so many PRCs, I want to know how they engage their membership to be that active. So really just asking those questions and gleaning that knowledge from our other leaders is so important. Vicki McKenna is amazing. The communications and government relations staff are so experienced. They can tailor a campaign to your local needs as well. Partnering with grassroots organizations has been really, really beneficial to us. And the last thing is be bold. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, people you meet on the street. It's amazing what those conversations bring out. They bring out ideas, support, and encouragement in really difficult times. Thanks.
Runnymede Healthcare Centre did announce our cuts to our RN positions, and they decided to cut about half of our nursing hours. So for those of you that don't know, Runnymede Healthcare Center is a smaller hospital. We're a complex continuing care hospital with 200 beds. So it's not very big to begin with, and we have 2 units designated for rehab. We have 4 units designated to medically complex, where we deal with patients that are suffering from chronic conditions and functional disabilities. So as of June 2015, we had about 80 registered nurses at our hospital. And in September 2015, that was when they gave us the devastating news that they would be cutting our RNs. In October of 2015, we had early retirement packages issued to our members that were eligible. And we were informed of a new nursing model that our hospital would be adopting, and this would dissolve our charge nurse positions and introduce new positions of advanced practice nurses and patient care administrators. So these are more management type positions. They also informed us that RPNs would be expected to practice to their full scope, but they would also be reducing RPN hours. In January of this year, in February of this year, we actually started receiving our letters for members whose positions were no longer going to be available, giving us options to bump, and the whole layoff process pretty much got started. So we didn't wait until recently to start doing anything. As soon as we found out that they were going to be doing this layoff process, we started doing some things right away. So we worked with our local, we worked with our LRO, and we had some picketing sessions and information sessions set up. It was actually very successful. We had them in October and November, which actually we started experiencing some cold temperatures. So we had our VP of Region 3, Andy Summers, actually attend one of these picketing sessions. We had some more members from ONA attend. Our local was very helpful in this as well. And we got some families actually starting to support us, and they started asking more questions to the hospital. In response to a lot of the questions that our family members were asking, our hospital actually came out with a memo, and they framed this memo. It's a large frame, picture frame, and they framed it there in the front so that any family members asking questions would automatically receive the information that they wanted to have, because they knew that the union was working really hard to get our information out there as well, what they weren't telling them. We've actually also been very successful in working with our SEIU partners, our RPNs, and we've actually had one successful picketing with them as well, and we're actually planning to do more of those. A letter was also sent on our behalf from our ONA president, Linda, to the CEO of Runnymede Healthcare Center, and all the board members were copied to this letter, just informing them of what is going on, informing them from our point of view, things that weren't being mentioned. And another thing that we've done so far is we've become very successful in engaging our community. It is a smaller community, but we've managed to have our online petition become very successful. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but we've had some of you already sign it. Our goal was actually only 500 signatures, but to this day we have 596, and we're still going. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but we're still hoping to continue that. So thank you to those that have signed it so far. We really do appreciate the support. We've also utilized the significance of social media, and as many of you may know, this is a very powerful tool that we have. So we've actually been very successful in engaging our members and even the community. We made a Facebook page, and we actually created it as an information communication tool. So we provide our updates on there. It gives people a chance to see pictures from when we had our picketing. It gives them a chance to ask us questions. We've also been sending a lot of updates to our members through emails. We've been encouraging a lot of our members to use emails as well, so that they can ask us a lot more questions, because we may not always see each other and we're not really allowed to be talking about all of these cuts while we're working. We also were very successful. We had in February, we had a meeting with the MPP of Parkdale High Park, Sherry DeNovo, and we met with her along with our VP, Andy Summers. We received some very good feedback from her, and we've actually just actually yesterday, we've sent another letter to her, providing more information that she had asked us, and actually assisting us in getting some of our requests from the hospital, including some things that they haven't disclosed to us. The MPP's constituency office actually did inform us that they've been receiving a lot of phone calls from the family members who were starting to get a lot more antsy about what's going on, so they started getting a lot more questions from them. So they've actually agreed since then to forward our contact information so that these family members can contact us and ask us questions that they really, really want to know and that the hospital may not be telling them. We're also actually working on a little video that we're putting together for Runnymede, and it's just a small group of nurses. We've gathered a lot of our ideas, and we're now in the process of actually starting to get the video set up. We're going to be providing some information through this video to the community and to the public about what it is that our RNs do at Runnymede Healthcare Center, because a lot of people in the community don't really know what it is that our registered nurses do at this hospital. So we hope to post this on social media by the end of the month and hopefully make it go viral. We also have some more picketing information sessions set up with SEIU, and we're actually also planning to do some door-to-door leafletting. We've actually left this for the warmer temperatures, as we had to kind of put things on hold when it got very cold, but luckily it's warm now again, so hopefully we're going to start our campaign going again. We've also been having a lot more meetings with our members, and we've been doing this on a more regular basis. We never used to meet with our members this often, but we've actually been doing it almost on a monthly basis. And we've actually gotten a lot of our members to do workloads more because of these meetings, because this is an opportunity for them to be discussing the workload concerns. Although the workloads aren't coming in as often as they should be, because I know those issues are out there, but they are definitely coming in more than before. We used to never have any workloads at all. So along the way, we did face some challenges. We did run into some, hiccups. One of them was we were having a hard time trying to get our members to attend our picketing sessions. Now, we can't have a picketing with just 2 members out there. So we wanted to get a lot more people there, but it was very difficult because of our varying schedules. And we also were having a really hard time getting our message across to the family members and the patients, because like I said, we weren't allowed to talk about it during our shifts. So we didn't really know how we were gonna get this information out to them. So one of our solution to address these 2 issues was actually we scheduled our picketing in the afternoons between the shifts, the days and evening shifts. So we would have it before an evening shift would start, and then we would continue it so that the day shift after they finished work, they would also be able to attend. And this actually was a really good time, because this was usually the time that the family members would be coming in to visit the patients. So we managed to catch a lot of people along the way. We handed them our flyers and our leaflets, so it was really, really effective. And like I said, we had to put it on hold. We had 3 successful sessions, but we had to stop midway while we were doing really well because it started to get cold. Some of our members actually did get sick because in November, we ended up doing one day where it was freezing outside. It was like really nice the day before, but for some reason, the day we scheduled it was when it was freezing. So we had to put that on hold. We didn't want our members getting sick because of that. Like I said, the workloads was an issue. We were doing them, but then we started running into this problem that the employers were just responding, well, we don't have the staff. We're going to be on layoffs. So that's just the reality of it. We have no staff. So it was very discouraging for our members. It made them feel like, well, why are we doing this? We keep doing it and nothing is happening. So we've spoken with our LRO, and our LRO has actually since linked us with a professional practice leader. So we've actually scheduled a meeting this month with our professional practice leader to discuss our issues and find out just what our next steps would be to help address these. Another thing that we ran into that was kind of difficult for us was a same issue that Jackie had mentioned. It's very difficult to discuss issues related to RPNs increasing their scope of practice and giving the patients that might be more complicated to RPNs. So we didn't really want to, sever any good relationship, good ties that we had with our RPNs. We've been doing really well with them. So we've had to focus our discussions, and whenever we talk about it, we've had to focus it more on the issue of patient safety, because we didn't really want to say, well, we don't want to give patients to RPNs because they can't handle complex patients. So that's just one of the things that we're still working on. Another problem that we're running into is because of, it's been now 6 months since they've announced the layoffs, and so morale is starting to get very low at the hospital, and nurses are starting to feel hopeless because they feel like, well, we're doing all this work, what's going on, what's happening? So we've been working very hard to make sure that they understand that ONA is behind them 100% and that we're always there for them. So whenever they have questions, we make sure that we get back to them right away. We forward any of their concerns as soon as possible. So through all of this, what kind of advice would I give to anybody that's experiencing the same thing right now? I'm not, the best at giving advice, but just from what I've learned, it's very important to really engage the community. We were actually very surprised when the MPP told us that family members were asking them questions and asking for, how to get in contact with us, and that's when they gave our contact information to them. We've also recognized that we have family members in the hospital that are actually helping us advocate because they know that we can't answer questions while we're working. So we actually had a family member on one of the floors. She's been going around and talking to other family members. She has our leaflet and she's handing them out. So, I mean, it's working. It's a little slower than we'd like, but it's working. We're there. So it's very good to make sure that these people know. Another tip that I would have would be to really engage our members more. Before this new nursing model was introduced to our hospital, we were actually not very successful in engaging our members. We weren't communicating with them very much. All we had to communicate with them was this, this bulletin board, this sad little bulletin board that we had in the basement, in the corner by the lockers, where nobody ever sees it because that's the only tool that the hospital gave us to communicate with our members. So we found new ways to communicate with them. That's when we created our Facebook page where people could go on and actually find out what things are happening. We actually found new ways of sending emails to people. So I've become very annoying where I just send them an update sometimes, like every couple weeks, sometimes really to just say, well, I don't really have an update right now, but just so you know, just an update, no update. But so now actually what happens is we started getting emails from people like, what's going on? You haven't told us anything. Well, we haven't told you anything because there's nothing to tell, but they want to know. Now they're more engaged. Now they're constantly emailing us. We've created an email account specifically just for providing them with information. That way my inbox doesn't get, spammed with all these emails. We've been very good at using our social media, so we've been posting things on there, like when Frontlines came out, one of the articles was actually about running meat on there, so I managed to go online, I got the PDF, and I screen capped it, and I put it on the Facebook page. So it got people looking, because let's face it, some of our nurses, they get those Frontlines, if it doesn't come in a little plastic packaging, sometimes they don't look at it because they're like, oh, there's no free stuff in there, so they don't bother opening it. So I know what they're like, so I was like, here, so you guys could see it, and so it's there. I'm sorry, it's kind of true. Some people are just in it for the free stuff, So another thing that I really can't stress enough is the importance of workload. When I first started, I just thought, well, this is just another tool for me to have to take up time. This is another tool that's going to take up all of my time, and I'm already so busy at work, right? Why am I going to do this? But it's actually quite surprising. Our VP Andy here actually was the one that kind of just he really just hammers it in your head. He says, this is the tool that you have that can protect you one day. This can one day help you save your job. And this is the message that we've been saying to our members now, and that's why they're starting to do it more. We keep telling them, if there are issues with safety, you need to be doing your workloads. This is a very important tool. So I think we're starting to get there. So it's very important to continue to stress this, even during the times that you feel like it's hopeless. And another thing that I can suggest is to just continue to encourage your members, even during the times that they feel like, there's nothing happening because the layoffs are continuing to go. Like for us, we've already gone into the next steps. So they feel like, well, we haven't been able to get very far with this. Well, the truth of the matter is we still have quite a bit of time before they implement anything, before they implement the final steps. So we're going to continue to work with them. So that's the message that I can tell everybody else, is just to continue being behind them 100%. Let them know that no matter what happens, we are behind them 100%. And that's all I can really say. Thank you so much.